Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Ethan Edgehill.
And today we're going to the sunken place.
Or maybe we're just playing bingo.
So flash your camera in some guy's face.
And call TSA.
Because today we're bringing you...
Get Out!
Get Out was released on February 24th, 2017, just 753 days ago. It was on a little itty-bitty tiny little baby budget of $4.5 million. Made $255 million worldwide. It got a 98% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes and an 86% audience rating. It scored an 84 on Metacritic, which I think is the highest we've done this year, and I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Oh, right. And we are joined today by none other than the wonderful and brilliant and genius graphic designer of Bacon and Eggs, the genius behind all of our logos, the genius behind a lot of what the Super Carlin brothers have been putting out lately. None other than the owner of Graphite.vmb, Vashaun Brandon. Welcome to the show, Vashaun.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks a lot, Tyler and Ethan, for having me on the show. I'm
Absolutely
super excited
a pleasure
to be on here, and also excited to be talking about Get Out with you guys. So thank you for having me.
We have been trying to get Vashaun on the show for so long now.
Literally.
AKA, we asked him one time
forever.
before, and he was like, nah.
No, I don't do podcasts.
I don't know if that was the case, but
I think it was just that you didn't have a particular affinity for whatever movie we asked you to talk about.
yeah, I think that was the case. It was just like, a movie that I probably should have seen by now and just have not seen it. I was scared to admit it to you guys.
I think it was Star Wars, because I was like, Vashaun, you love Finn. You were Finn for Halloween. And you were like, I've never in my life seen a Star Wars.
Yeah, it was Star Wars. And
I've never seen the Star Wars.
Right.
What is this Star
The Wars Among the Stars.
Yeah.
Really exciting. Vashaun is not a podcaster. He's a graphic designer. But he's brilliant. We've known him since college. He was in my wedding. So what we did is we sent Vashaun a Blue Yeti microphone to record with us. We are going to be giving away that microphone that our own Vashaun Brandon has drawn all over Get Out inspired designs. It is on our Instagram page and his Instagram page. So all you have to do to win that, you have to to be entered to win that. No guarantees here. But if you follow Bacon and Eggs Pod on Instagram, follow Vashaun Brandon or follow graphite.vmb on Instagram and like the post from each of us, we will select a winner the Monday after this episode comes out. That Monday is
The 25th.
March 25th.
325.
325. This thing is wicked cool looking. It is the all white Yeti, and then he's got these amazing Get Out doodles all over it. There's like a teacup, and there's the like fallen zone or whatever it's called, and it's just like, I'm so excited for you guys to see
falling zone.
the Twilight
Tyler
Zone.
totally watched this movie.
I definitely know what this movie's about. So I'm super excited to be giving that away. If Vashaun wants another microphone, we can get him one. That's not a big deal, but we wanted to give it away.
Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm excited to see who wins it, and I hope they really like it. And yeah, this microphone itself without the doodles is pretty cool. So
I know, it's so cool looking. It's so much cooler looking than mine. When we got our Yetis, or at least when I got my Yeti, it came in silver, which is boring, black, which was cool, but they didn't have, and this blue that I have. And so my options were either the blue or the silver. I was like, everybody has a silver, I mean, it's blue. And then they just started rolling out like different colorways immediately after that, and every single one comes out. I'm like, God, I want that.
I know. I just want all of them.
But I already own one.
But yeah, so that's what we're doing. Ethan, do you have a negative critic review for me?
I struggled to find one, yes, but I do in fact have one. And it comes from Louisa Moore of Screen Zealots, and she said, "This movie could have been a trailblazing original commentary on race relations. It's a good idea, but it's poorly executed." And Louisa, no, it isn't.
Yeah. I don't agree with that. I believe that there's definitely several different ways you could have looked at it, but I think this was kind of a personal one for the director here, Peele. He kind of took it from his own experiences and kind of dealt with it the way he did. But I don't know. I see where she's coming from, but kind of disagree in a way.
Well, yeah, and whatever you want to say about this movie, I don't think execution is really the place you can fault it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it was amazing. The whole thing was wonderful. I don't know that the only thing I can see where she's coming from is the third act. I felt like was necessary. It was good. It was well done. I understand there's perhaps a different ending available out there somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about that.
I've heard of that. I've not seen it, but apparently there is an alternative ending, which would be very, interesting to see. But I have not seen it. So
I think they set you up for an ending that didn't happen.
I would tend to agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they definitely did. Maybe it was like the original ending, and then it was like, nah, let's switch it up. Who knows?
Because here's the thing: people aren't going to listen to this episode if they haven't seen this movie. They're not interested in, or if they have any plans to see this movie. So I just want to talk about the ending real quick. We're just going to go ahead and go full spoiler. I thought at the end when the cop showed up, I thought it was going to be the white cop.
Oh yeah, same. I thought there was going to be. It was like, oh god,
like this whole thing happened, and then there's like it's just going to look so bad.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's about to get caught. This sucks. He went through all of that for this.
Well, we can talk about the ending here in a minute. Tyler, do you have a positive review? Tyler, do you have a positive review about this movie?
I do, and I think I've just got a quick short one. Paul Burns out of the Sydney Morning Herald. 4 out of 5 stars. 4 words. It's a game changer.
I would definitely agree with that.
I would totally agree. Not just for the horror genre, not just for black directors, not just for any of it. For cinema in general, this is amazing. This is so good. This is so important to have also.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's definitely a game changer on so many levels. But yeah, I'm just super excited to see what else Jordan Peele puts out, and of course Us is coming up. So just for him in particular, I think it's a game changer, especially because it was like it came out and everyone was like, "Wait, who?" Jordan Peele from Key and Peele,
right? The comedian.
And so that
Didn't
was
they
just
make
like
that cat movie?
Exactly. So that was like just a right sharp turn for him. I guess from our perspective, seeing the work that he had done previously. So definitely game changer on many levels.
Oh yeah, there's certainly like a tortured soul sort of element to it, where you can sort of see, he's got this amazing comedy, but you can see his comedy was all sort of this commentary, and with this, he's like, I'm just gonna hammer it home. This is what I've been trying to tell you people.
Yeah. I think that's very true. So yeah, I think that's definitely what he tried to do here, just kind of on a more serious, almost like doing a 180 or 360 in a way, going completely like horror, versus, just, satirical. So.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you.
And it definitely wasn't without its funny moments either.
Oh yeah, this movie made me laugh. So like throughout the entire thing, I was laughing, and it's like, hard to do that throughout horror movies, but this one definitely did, because it's just, so relatable on so many levels.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, we got to do binary review.
For a binary review, just want to remind you, this podcast and the binary review and everything we do on this podcast is sponsored by Carlin Brothers Coffee.
Always a 1.
Always a 1. That's exactly right. The best thing to go with any breakfast, Carlin Brothers Coffee. Ethan, what's your favorite way to consume Carlin Brothers Coffee?
Hot, and sometimes black, and sometimes not black.
Here's the thing. You like it hot. I like it cold.
I don't buy the cold brew yet. I just buy the beans. And
Ethan, what if I told you could buy the cold brew for 10% off using promo code
Oh my
BACON?
God, I would be so excited.
Could you run through a wall?
I could run through multiple walls.
Multiple walls. Carlin Brothers Coffee is a variety of coffee products made by my very own brothers, Jonathan and Ben Carlin. Jay and Ben? I feel like the internet wants him to be known as Jay.
I received explicit permission from him to call him Jonathan.
I've never in my life called him Jay to his face. He has been Jonathan my entire life. Anyway, him and my other brother Ben, Jamin, decided to open a coffee company after when I was like 5 years old, we were at the beach with our friends, the Perdues, and Clyde Perdue gave 5-year-old me like 4 cups of coffee. And they were like, you know what? This seems profitable. So they decided to open a coffee company with awesome, sustainable, found beans, not burnt, delicious, nice and open bean. Oh man, it's so good. You have to try it.
What exactly is an open bean?
I'm not sure.
Is that like a bean where like the living room is connected to the kitchen without really a discernible wall?
Right. Sometimes there's a load-bearing wall between, so you got to do a pillar or something like that.
Yeah. But like there's no like, it's not like a door. You don't have to open a door.
Right, it's open concept.
Yeah, it's that kind of coffee. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah,
I like my beans
island,
to have open kitchens.
Counter height stools is an ideal place to drink this coffee, but also table height chairs.
So how do I get the coffee?
So you can go to carlinbrotherscoffee.com/discount/bacon. You get 10% off all purchases made. carlinbrotherscoffee.com/discount/bacon using promo code code BACON at checkout. You can get the cold brew. You can get the beans ground or in bean form. I've got a brother, Bean Carlin. I don't know if you knew that.
Get him in bean form. Go buy a coffee grinder. They're like $10.
Get them in bean form. I've got a brother, Bean Carlin. You can also get the tea if you're not a coffee drinker. The tea is delicious. It's got all the things that you need to make coffee. If you need a coffee maker, filters, anything like that, everything is there. Or if you just want a mug, if you just want to support the show, seriously, carlinbrotherscoffee.com/discount/bacon. Promo code BACON at checkout. And that lets them know you came from us.
Yay!
Yay! Binary review for Get Out.
It's a 1.
It's a 1.
You have to see this.
Another one.
Another one.
Another one.
Jordan Peele, bless up.
Here's the thing. If you don't like horror, you have to see this.
Yeah.
If you're a racist, you have to see this.
That's right.
And I feel like that was the market that it just didn't connect with. And I'll tell you why. Because this movie, yes, it made $255 million, which is great. But like that's not a ton of money, but literally everybody I know saw this movie in theaters.
Oh yeah.
Everybody. So like that's where I'm wondering is like, did this movie just not land with like people over the age of 30?
Yeah. That's a great question. And I mean, I wouldn't say that those people are like racist, but like I feel like it didn't really land with anyone who either didn't like horror and maybe thought it was like scarier than they thought it was going to be, or people who just kind of like don't want to go to the movies and get political, if you want to call it political. So I can definitely see why people wouldn't want to see the movie, but obviously I suggest definitely checking it out.
Did you see it in theaters, Vashaun?
I did see it in theaters. I was actually on a date at the time, so it was, it was a very interesting experience. But yeah, I saw it in theaters and absolutely loved it.
I saw it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's like certain movies like I want to watch just at home just by myself or maybe like with just a few friends. But there's some movies like this one that you just want to see in public just to get the reactions from other people, and like that's the main reason why I went to see this one in theaters.
Yeah, definitely. Normally if I'm gonna watch a horror movie, I'm not gonna watch it in the theaters. Like it's not something I want to put myself through. But this movie, for some reason I felt like I needed to go see it. I felt like it was important for me to go. It deserves
your dollar.
Yeah, it deserved my dollar. But I kid you not, I was the only white person in the theater seeing it. In like a pretty full theater, which is always, that's happened to me twice, was for this and Black Panther at the same movie theater in Newport News. And that's always just an experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a more lively audience, I would say.
For sure. I mean, there's a fairly well-known and sort of joked upon stereotype about black people at the movies, especially horror movies.
Yeah, you're gonna get reaction,
and I kid you not,
you're gonna get it live.
I sat down, and this woman came and sat next to me. We shared like a love seat. She was a complete stranger because it was the love seat theaters. She was a complete stranger, and she sits down and goes, "Now I don't know if you know about the stereotype about black people at movies, but I can tell you, I'm about to flip the Fortnite out." And she did. She was slamming the armrests and like throwing popcorn everywhere, and just like there were people looking at her like, yes, that is how we react to movies here. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. This is how I want to see all horror movies.
That's how I want to see all movies. Period.
It's an experience on and off the screen.
Yes,
because it's so true though, and there's plenty of especially black comedians that make jokes about horror movies like that. And it's just so true though, because it's such a, like, horror movies are such a white people thing. It's always
anymore.
like, how can white people get themselves killed in the stupidest ways possible?
Yeah, I mean, and even with that, it's like, I think there's also like this well-known stereotype that the black person dies first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like that, like, that's obviously refreshing to see that didn't happen in this movie. But
that would have been wild. That would have been wild.
Yeah, the movie would have ended. Like, what can you do?
Or if it was just about Rod.
Oh my gosh.
It's like they set it up exactly the same way, and like instead of putting him under, they just kill him that first night.
Oh, Rod.
And then Rod shows up, and it's just like, this is my movie now. I'm TS Mother Fortnite. Hey.
I love that he loved his job.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's important for you to love your job in 2019.
Oh, for sure.
He loved it. He was, getting in trouble for patting down old ladies because they were going to be the cause of the next 9/11.
Oh,
yeah, I love this movie. It just had no filter whatsoever. It was just, it's rare that you see a movie like this that just doesn't apologize at all for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's even though it's scripted, obviously, watching it, you feel like there is no script because it's just kind of like authentic, and you feel like the reactions are, real reactions that some of your friends would have or you would have to certain situations, and so that's another level of appreciation for the movie and what it did, because it's like. Rod or anyone would just think or say something that you were thinking, and it's just like, yeah, that's exactly how I'd react in this situation too.
Well, and that's
I'll tell you. Hold on. I do have a minor critique on this point. When Rod is explaining the things to the police department,
oh my gosh, yes,
that pulled me out of it just a little bit, where I was like, they're not taking him seriously at all. Like, there is someone missing and has been missing for a while, and they're just blowing it off. I don't know if maybe that's just my white privilege showing that the police would blow off that information.
No, it's not. No police officer, black or white, would believe that. I think the fact that he exaggerated the whole the sex slave thing, I think is why they kind of dismissed him. But
for sure,
I don't know. I feel like they kind of knew of Rod before this instance, and it was just kind of like, oh, here he goes again.
That was kind of the vibe I got. That it is not the first time that they have dealt with a cockamamie story from Rod.
Yeah, exactly.
TSA's coming because they do say, now TSA, you're supposed to report to your, whatever.
Yeah,
your shift leader.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. So, but no, but I do agree with the point that it kind of I don't know, it kind of took the seriousness of the situation away in a little bit, and I understand inserting a little bit of a satire as comic relief or whatever. But I definitely agree with the point that it kind of in a way made it kind of more jokey than, oh, Rod's about to save the day. It was like, oh, Rod is just a friend who can't really do anything.
Well, and I think that was kind of designed to throw you off the trail a little bit.
For sure.
As well as there's definitely a certain degree of commentary to it. It's like, yeah, the police aren't listening. They don't care that there's just, another black dude missing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that scene, apart from the scene where, Chris and his girlfriend encountered the police, I think the scene with Rod was intentionally set up with police officers of color who didn't believe him because, it was meant to show oh, this isn't, it isn't just Rod going to the police and getting denied. It's just this just seems crazy for anyone to believe, even cops of color. So
yeah, right. I definitely agree with that point.
For sure. And there's a lot of different conversations you can get into about that whole thing as well. How much should we trust the police, whatever. That's not necessarily a situation I'm here to
for sure.
Particularly, but just because there's no real happy answer to that question.
Go ahead.
No, but I did. What was I gonna say? I really enjoyed the fact though that yes, he exaggerated the sex slave thing, but he was right about.
Yeah, he got
pretty much. He nailed it on the head.
Well, and they were sex slaves. Maybe not, grandma and grandpa, but the other guy.
The guy from the beginning. Yeah, essentially. Yeah, so for sure he was right on some points there.
Right.
And speaking of the guy from the beginning, can we kind of rewind and kind of take a view from the beginning and kind of how the movie was kind of set up?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I noticed was the music in the beginning. It was just kind of very ominous, and it was just pictures of the woods, and then it gets into his apartment, but. One thing I noticed was the song, and it was very weird. It was meant to set it up as ominous, and I actually did some research, and it was actually a Swahili song. And I wrote it down here. It was saying Sikilisa, which means listen. Yeah, and so that played to set up the movie, but then you'll also hear that throughout the movie, and it kind of signals both to the audience and to Chris throughout the movie to listen or to pay attention or to know that something's about to go down. So I thought that was very interesting because I don't know, that song kind of stuck out to me, and I was like, what is this? It just sounds really weird, So
definitely does. I was wondering that's what something I was gonna look up or ask about in this thing was that song, because it is striking, to say the least.
Well, yeah, and the whole time there's the theme of Chris being a professional kind of guy. He's the photographer and everything, and he's just sort of ignoring these microaggressions of the cop asking to see his ID. He's like, that's not a big deal, whatever. Here's my ID, and then all just the little things people are saying. And when the people are sizing him up at the party, when the people are like, oh, I bet you're super strong, and I bet you're super fit, and black's in style now.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah. That was
and he's not he's hearing it as like, these are weird comments, but he's not listening to like what exactly they're getting at.
Oh, for sure. And I think that was intentional because it's almost like I've heard this before, and I feel like that was a constant throughout the movie, obviously up until the part where they're like, hunting him down, was Chris trying to constantly keep his cool, not trying to blow up, not trying to like seem, aggravated by the whole situation. And I think part of it was like he kind of expected it. And then also was I've heard or been through this before, and so it's kind of a normal for me in a way. So that's kind of how I looked at it anyway.
Right. The only time he believes anything is when he sees something and not when he hears something.
Oh yeah,
because he's looking but not listening. That's the whole. He's the guy with the eyes.
For sure.
That's his whole thing. He's got the camera and everything. He's he uses the flash to not intentionally, but that's what he figures out that breaks the dude out of the thing. It's like that's his whole thing. Is he's the seer, not the hearer, the listener.
For sure. Definitely.
And that's what ends up getting him in trouble. Is that if he had just sort of and that's the thing is like, granted it's a fiction obviously, but I felt like even I would have taken aback with some of the stuff that happened to him very early on and been like, yo, I should probably get out of here.
But I think that's the point. Maybe this is just something Ethan, you and I can't relate to.
That's probably what it is.
That's just par for the course.
Yeah, for sure. I think the movie was set up in a way to make it seem as if they're welcoming, they're warm, and everything's completely normal. But there's this like just very subtle undertones of not aggression, but like just appeasement that kind of played into it.
I would have voted for Obama a third time.
Yeah, like things like that. It was just like, obviously that was obviously thrown in there, but in situations like that, it's like, okay, I understand why you're saying that, but again, that's just wasn't necessary.
Some of my best friends are black.
Point.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So, so I definitely see where you're coming from there.
Riddle me this, Vashaun, though. If you had a girlfriend, honestly, a girlfriend of any particular race, and you went to her house and her mom hypnotized you against your will, would you stay in that house?
I would not. Well, I think the weird thing about the scene where he gets hypnotized and the scene afterwards where he just kind of like wakes up from his sleep is that I don't know if in that moment he realized it. I feel like he felt like something weird had happened to him, but he didn't fully realize he was actually hypnotized until, I don't know, suspicions kicked in or something like that. So yeah, I think. Go ahead, Tyler.
I think he pinpoints it when he's talking to the yard maintenance guy, the grandfather, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, sorry if my running scared you last night.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's when he's like, oh, I was actually, I lived through that. Okay.
Yeah, as soon as he said that, I would have gone upstairs, grabbed the keys, stolen the car, and gotten the Fortnite out of there.
No.
I think the daughter is the trick, though. That's the
because he's never alone is the thing.
Right.
She's the red herring there.
Oh, for sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, even if he's not alone, I'm pretty sure she's probably watching, or the others are watching,
Well, and you notice they never drew any attention to it, but that first scene, the lion is facing the bed at the retreat house or whatever. The lion is facing the bed when he's going to reach his phone, and he turns it around. If you pay attention to that for the rest of the movie, it's turned back around facing the bed.
I did not. There could be a camera in there, or maybe
that was my guess, was that there was a camera in there.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Wow.
And like, so here's two things for me though that like I guess sort of threw it off a little bit. And this is any horror movie for me. Is like at some point when you're watching a horror movie, you have to be able to suspend your disbelief for people's horror movie decisions. And I'm bad at that. Like my brain in any horror movie is like, dude, why would you continue to go into the house? Like, why would you keep doing this? Why are you making horror movie decisions? Why are you putting yourself in the position where you're allowing yourself to be trapped like this? Like he's just like, nah, it's cool, everything's cool, like whatever. There's weird white people. It's like, no, they're not just weird white people. This is obvious.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, I agree with that up to a certain point. I feel like this movie is kind of set up great in such a way that you can kind of suspend your disbelief or anger in the decisions that they're making in the movie, because it's like, oh, it's just this guy who loves his girlfriend. He just wanted to get out of there, with his girlfriend, and then he kind of figures it out. versus, I don't know, a cliche horror movie where they're just in a rickety old house and they hear a sound. It's like, oh, let's go check it out. You know, it's not that. It's totally different. He has some stake in this before he figures out that he doesn't, you know, so.
And this is a much more realistic example of the things that happen to people in horror movies. The other thing for me is like, yes, she did a great job, but Alison Williams at no point made me believe that she wasn't a total psychopath.
Really? I was completely thrown. I had chills all over my body.
You know how
all over my body.
You know how people talk about somebody having crazy eyes? Alison Williams has crazy face.
She does kind of have crazy face.
Like, she's a beautiful woman, but she is just absolutely has this, like, look or this demeanor of, like, I could literally snap your neck right now and it wouldn't mean anything to me. Like, that's just the kind of vibe I got from her immediately.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, even when she, like, smiled, it's kind of like, seems like, trust me, you know, I'm your girlfriend.
But like, I felt the same way about her in The Sound of Music. So like, it's not just a this movie thing. It's like I don't trust that woman at all thing. Like,
gotcha. I was just thinking this movie specifically.
I did not have that experience at all. When I did not expect for a second that she was in on it.
Well, no, they do a very good job of throwing you off with the rest of her family members because like the dad is obviously so kind and warm and just like overly friendly. The mom's weird and closed off and like aggressive.
Well, the thing they do is that the mom, you think everyone's under the mom's spell.
Yeah, that's true. And I think they hit on that specifically when the brother comes into the picture and he like starts horsing around and she like, you know, snaps at him a little bit or like, you know, calls out his name and he stops immediately. And that's kind of like, oh, okay, she's got control of things.
But yeah, he's definitely designed to lead you off the daughter because he's clearly insane. Just like regardless of his feelings in this whole situation, it's like he's still that stereotypical dude that's like gonna beat up his sister's boyfriend.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, you know, that actor's been in like 2 movies ever and he plays the exact same character and he's just this weird looking, like, again, dude just has crazy face.
Are you talking about Caleb Landry Jones?
Yeah.
The dude is in so many movies.
Like what?
3 Billboards,
yes,
The Florida
that
Project,
and this.
American Made, Get Out, Queen and Country, X-Men First Class, The Social Network.
Wow.
Who was he in X-Men?
Step Up.
Who was he in Social Network?
In Social Network, he was a fraternity guy. So
okay, either way, he plays like a major role in 2 movies, which are this and 3 Billboards, and it's the exact same character.
He plays it well, I would say.
He's a creepy looking dude. That's all I'm saying.
He's like a Macaulay Culkin type.
Yeah, definitely. And this movie was God, words are hard. This movie was cast so well, just from the top to the bottom. Like I love Bradley Whitford in this, like, again, this overly supportive dad role. You know, I love the mom. I love Alison Williams.
Yes.
I loved
Catherine Keener.
Yeah.
Stephen Root. Anything Stephen Root is in is good.
Is he the blind guy?
Yes.
And then and then Rod.
Really,
I mean, Rod was perfect. Just the greatest comedic relief
the clutch best friend who's gonna be there for you no matter what. Yeah, that was awesome. So I mean, I'm trying to think as the movie progresses. I'm trying to think about the point to where, you know, Chris just like snaps and he's just like, I already know what's going on here. Like, I gotta get out of here.
He knows he can't trust anybody when he finds all the pictures of her dating all the other black guys.
Oh my God. Can we talk about that? Like,
yeah,
the I don't know. This was one of the moments where I was just like, really? How convenient for that.
Oh yeah, she's just got this in the little corner room.
Yeah, I mean, was it convenient because it was just like a little bit of a plot hole, or was it convenient because she put it there and it was intention? You know, she wanted him to find it. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's that because she realizes the only way he's going to figure out what's going on, the only way he's going to believe what's going on is if he sees it in photos.
Yeah, I think that assists with the hypnotism, is that like if he sees it all in photos, then he's like, oh, this can really happen.
Oh, okay. I didn't make that connection, but
and this is a classic like thriller horror movie trope where there's a camera involved. This happens in a bunch of movies, and this is sort of like a digital way of processing this phenomenon. But it's always been in the past where, like, you know, somebody takes a picture or whatever and they go into the dark room and they're like developing the photo and there's something Fortnite wacky in the photo. Oh God, there's a ghost. There's a picture of the murder being done. But like, there's no dark room anymore. Like, you just look at the picture on the back of your camera. It's a 3-inch LCD screen. Like,
True, yeah.
You don't have that anymore. So now we have to figure out a different way to process that like classic horror movie trope. And I actually really like that. That it was kind of printed out like that. And maybe it was a little bit obvious, but it's like, I guess, sort of an homage.
Yeah.
If anything.
Well, and I think the mom still has a certain level of control there, because when you see the girlfriend later in the movie when she's just like robot mode on the phone with people, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that's wild. That is a wild portrayal. Holy crap.
Portrayal. But behind her is all of those pictures of all the ex-boyfriends or whatever. So I think the way she's able to get into that character so well under the hypnosis spell is that her mom is like convincing her, like, you're going to feel this kind of love.
Right.
Like, it's not an act for her. Like, she's in love with all of these people.
Wow.
But that was a crazy portrayal from Allison Williams with being able to keep that straight face while putting that emotion in her voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a wacky piece of acting. Both times I've seen this, I was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, I didn't realize that the first time, but after I rewatched it, I was like, wait a second, is her mouth even moving? Like, what's that? Like, there's absolutely no emotion, but yet you could like feel the emotion just in her voice. And I thought that was pretty cool.
right. Cause when she picks up the phone to talk to Rod, you feel it or whatever. And then it cuts over to her and she's just deadpanned.
Yeah.
Just completely emotionless. And I was like, holy crap. So, I mean, there's a lot of great acting performances in this movie. Does anybody know how to pronounce the lead actor's last name?
I do not.
I do not either.
Hallelujah.
Is it?
I don't know. Daniel.
That guy. Yeah, I love him in everything I've seen him in, which I think is literally just this and Black Panther, but he's just got this like sort of next level of chill about him that like usually actors aren't able to portray, where he's just so like, yeah, okay, I mean, it's whatever. Like there's just, it's like he's not even acting. He's just like a regular guy.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. And he just seems like super chill in any role that he plays. Obviously, in Black Panther, he says very minimal words and whatnot. But yeah, in this one, even when we see him freak out and start like fighting back, like that to me is like a shock. Seeing him do that, it's just like, okay, he's got some fight in him. So I definitely agree with the fact that he constantly has this very chill vibe to him, and he had to do that throughout the movie up to the point where he decided to click. Yeah,
until he snaps, and even then he's so decisive and so like cool, calm, and collected, even when he's being hunted.
Yeah, kind of tactical in a way.
He's able to pretend he's asleep and passed out when the dude's like hooking him up to the IV or whatever, which is nuts. I mean,
exactly.
To think about that, it's like, and that's definitely I think some sort of commentary about how people have to act, and especially when you see that when he's around the cop, it translates the exact same way as when he feels like he's in danger, he just sort of shuts down.
I mean, I get what you're saying there. Like almost even when he feels intimidated or attacked or insulted, he still is able to just kind of keep that demeanor together, keep himself together. And I have to say that's something that I think personally I feel like it also plays to not just him as a person, but also just the character being in the situation of in the setting of Get Out, being able to keep that demeanor no matter what. I think is definitely something that a lot of people of color have just kind of like trained themselves to try to do. Because obviously when you're facing circumstances over and over and over, you're kind of used to it, and so being able to keep your cool even when you're against all odds, I think that's something that plays really well in the movie as well.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I can't relate, but I couldn't agree more.
Well, and that's the thing I think is so important about this movie is it definitely, and even this time more than the first time I saw it, it definitely helps me relate a lot better to sort of what is going on. And it helps.
Oh, yeah. This can I butt in?
Yeah, go for it.
Like the microaggression commentary is so present and it is so clear. Like there are so many people. I feel like, Ethan and I went to a liberal arts college and we're young people and we're supposed to understand these tough issues. And it's still challenging for us. But I feel like, I have regular conversations with boomers every day who do not get this at all.
Yeah. I mean,
and to me that it's so eye-opening, so clear, it's so simple, but it's also so horrifying and sad, and like that's the state of things.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I think this movie definitely made it relatable on both sides. I think what's funny is that it had to make it very blatant for people to be like, oh, okay. Now I get it. And we talked about how Peele wanted to just hit a home run with it and be very direct with it. And I think that was his way of doing it. It was just making it as blatant as possible. Some of them microaggressions, some of them just flat out like racist comments throughout the movie.
Right.
But yeah, it just makes you think about it and make you look at it in a different light, and all within the scope of a horror movie. And so it played really well, I think.
For sure. And on the subject of what we were talking about earlier, there was an alternate ending. This is not the quote unquote original ending that Jordan Peele wanted for the movie. He changed his mind, I guess, during filming. But originally the plan, and I think this ending was shot and is released. But essentially Chris, instead of Rod showing up, Chris gets arrested, not by the same cop that showed up to begin with, but by different cops. Chris gets arrested and they're taking his statement and figuring out about the murders and everything. And they wanted to go back, and apparently the cops wanted to go back and check on the house, see what's going on, and Jordan Peele had him basically say, no, everything's good, I handled it, nothing's going on, like, you don't need to go back there, I just don't want to be tried for anything, like, because apparently, he was saying that that's how it would have gone down in real life.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have liked that ending. I feel like I'll have to watch. Hopefully, it's out there somewhere. I'll definitely want to watch that because it'll be interesting to see. But I really like the ending that was actually there. I think it kind of threw everyone for a loop, and it also kind of gave you kind of a little bit of a joy at the end to see Rod show up and be the superhero that he wanted to be all along. Using his TSA skills and seeing him actually like just being able to get back to.
Well, because you literally expect the cop, you see the lights flash and the siren, and you expect Chris to just be shot, basically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was expecting
that's like 100% what I thought.
Yeah, I was expecting some police brutality.
If not even by the original cop, just by any cop who in this neighborhood just saw, an African-American dude strangling a white girl.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was, and then she like starts crying out for help, and I was like, oh my goodness, no.
And you can even, and that's the lead actor's great skills with this, is you could just see in his face just the absolute, resignation that he's like, all right, well, this is how my life ends. Great.
Yeah. I mean,
I broke out of this house just to get shot by a cop. This is awesome.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like that wasn't the first time we saw him just kind of resign to the situation at hand. When he was like tied up to the chair and the guys in like the TV screen explaining, oh yeah, we're going to like cut part of your brain out. He's like, and you're going to be me. It's like he kind of gave up at that point a little bit. And he kind of like just felt like he couldn't do anything about it.
That's such a wild premise for this movie too, is I was just not expecting any kind of like, I don't want to say supernatural, but any kind of like sort of impossible things. Yeah, some pseudoscience, because obviously hypnotism doesn't work like that.
Hypnotism does work, not like that.
Not like that. No, not just like where you can bang a teacup and it just makes somebody your eternal slave.
Yeah. I think the movie did a good job of, I don't know, almost convincing people that is a thing. Like, not necessarily that that's exactly how it worked, but the idea of just being able to have people under your control can work that easily, and how manipulative that people can be to get to that level.
Right. And this is also 100% not how brains work.
I do think it's an interesting commentary on photography of today, that even if you are a professional photographer, you would not dream of bringing a flash for your camera.
What do you mean?
I was just making a joke about how, like, the way he breaks the people out of it is with the flash on his cell phone camera. Yeah. And he's a professional photographer. You don't have like a flash you can attach to the top of that camera.
What's interesting about that particular camera as well is that they used so he had like a pretty large like zoom lens on it, and the zoom lenses for those cameras are usually white.
Yes.
Especially the Canon ones. So they gave him like an incredibly cheap lens for him to be a professional photographer, just so he could have an all black camera. Which I thought was very interesting. It's something I did not catch last time I watched this movie.
It is something that definitely a filmmaker would have done on purpose. Like somebody who
absolutely did on
works
purpose
with cameras for a living.
Absolutely did on purpose.
Yeah.
Did not catch on to that.
There you go.
Well, so I actually...
Yeah, the Canons are white lenses.
Well, just the telephoto lenses like that.
Right.
But yeah, I actually read a couple reviews for this movie that mentioned that exact fact and talked about how, like, they wanted him to have this, his camera was his tool to kind of like nose into these people's lives, and he used it obviously more for observing things than he did for just taking nature photographs.
Does he take a picture the whole time? Yes, he takes a picture on his cell phone of
the guy.
Well, I mean, he was taking pictures with the camera that morning when all the people showed up.
Yeah, I think he was. I mean, he pretends to take a picture of the woods to like.
I know he did because I was watching this with subtitles, and there were multiple times where it said star shutter click star.
Yeah, I think he took a couple.
But yeah, if you want to read a very interesting review about this movie and about specifically about Chris's camera, you can go to the New Yorker and find Richard Brody, who made some very interesting arguments as to why as to why Chris had the camera, and specifically why he was given a black lens for the camera.
I understand it's a pretty inappropriate review.
It is fairly inappropriate, but it is worth a good laugh if you are into that kind of thing. Just about how one old white dude viewed this thing, because he loved the movie, but he was basically just was like
livid about the camera.
He wasn't livid. He was just very lewd.
Okay.
That's an awful noise.
Who did that? Oh, was that Vashaun?
No, that was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
What was that?
It is the leather on my chair against the veneer of my desk. This is an interesting thing. We're all noticing that Ethan noticed the camera because he's Mr. Photographer Man. Did you notice? I have no idea why. Maybe you can give me some insight onto this. There's no full-size couches in the movie. They're all love seats or single chairs.
Interesting.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I did not notice that, but now that you say it, I do.
In his apartment, he has a 2-seat leather sofa, a leather love seat, and then in her house, in the sort of, I guess, the tea room, the drawing room, the foyer, there's a love seat, and then across from it is 2 separate chairs, and then in the sort of hypnosis room, obviously you've got the 2 chairs facing each other.
Yeah, no idea. Did not notice that.
I don't know, man. Chairs are for pores. I mean, couches are for pores.
Couches are for.
It's true. You spend. I mean, the love seat technically costs less money, but not enough that you would be like, oh, I was saving money buying a love seat.
Speaking
you
of
spend
couches,
more per seat.
Yes.
Tyler.
A love seat is $20 less.
I don't know. I mean, Chris's apartment is just more immaculately decorated than any space that any mid-20-something would ever have, ever.
He's 26. He's my age.
Yeah.
Ethan's age now. Happy birthday, eggs.
Ethan's age, and I do not have that kind of eye for decorating things.
You don't have that kind of eye for photography either. No offense.
No.
That dude took some awesome pictures.
Yeah. No, definitely not. He's a professional photographer.
For sure.
Can I tell you something?
Using a $249 lens. Yeah, what's up?
I think a different photographer took those pictures.
Yeah.
Because he's a fictional character.
Yeah, he's a fictional character, but
I disagree.
he's got the eye.
Well, I think the fictional version of him took those pictures. I don't think the actor took those pictures.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Do you know something I don't know, Vashaun?
I don't actually. But yeah. The great photography.
Well, I feel like I read more than one review that talked about Chris's camera and his photography skills. I think that one of them would have mentioned if they were like, and Daniel Kaluuya. I really don't know how to pronounce that.
I think it's Kaluuya.
Kaluuya, if I'm doing it wrong. Danny K. That guy.
Danny Boy,
that guy. If he was like a world-class photographer, I feel like they would have said, he's a world-class photographer.
Well,
he's the kind of guy that
he's the kind of guy that has type stuff.
Giant prints of his own pictures on his own walls.
You never taken a picture you were that proud of?
Not yet. I also do not own a printer that will do a picture that large.
You just go to FedEx Ginkgos.
Yeah, and they're not cheap.
No. You just don't take enough pictures of me. There's your problem.
You are busy all of the time. We never hang out ever.
All of the time busy.
Yeah. When are you going to take a picture of Ty walking away in the distance?
Yeah. I have these pictures of Ethan walking away. Not one picture of Tyler walking away.
I was actually thinking today that Tyler and I needed to get headshots.
I wholeheartedly agree, because I would like to add them to our banners.
Yep. I would also like to have profile pictures that look similar.
Oh, yeah.
I think, like for Twitter, I think that would be a solid move.
Indeed.
And that's something I could probably knock out in 5 minutes.
Did you know... This is a fun fact, that my Facebook profile picture from January of 2018, I still had a goatee. I didn't even have a beard yet.
Yes. Is that really how old your Facebook picture is?
Yeah, January 4th, 2018.
That's not too long ago for a Facebook profile.
That's like a year and a few months.
A few months, yeah. Mine was not that long ago. I don't remember what mine was. I also forgot which one was in my profile picture.
It's the one at the top of your page.
Anyway, Tyler, if you want to stand on a bridge and let me take a picture of you walking away, I can do that whenever you want. Again, it'll take 2 minutes.
2 minutes, huh?
Yep.
I like the sound of 2 minutes.
2 minutes. That's all you need.
So, what was y'all's favorite part of this movie?
I'll be honest. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this yet. As film fans, as film lovers, movie lovers. What is this? A movie lovers podcast? I have always had an aversion to the horror genre. Okay.
Yeah.
Never been a fan. There's been a few movies that I've liked. I liked Quiet Place. I liked Thoroughbreds, which I wouldn't have said was horror until I saw this. And if this is horror, that's horror. I'm just gonna have to put it that way. And there was a listener question. After seeing this movie, do you want to give the horror genre another chance, or are you still planning to mostly steer clear? I think horror is trending in a direction where I am willing to give it another chance. I don't know that I like horror just for the sake of horror. Like, I don't know that I would enjoy Happy Death Day, but I definitely enjoyed this, and I get the point.
I think you picked a bad example there.
Why?
Apparently, the Happy Death Day movies are extraordinarily good and well done compared to most horror movies. Not necessarily compared to these, but compared to most, like, standard horror movies.
Like slasher horror?
Because I would not consider this a standard horror movie. And that was my next topic that I was going to get into. But continue. I think Happy Death Day is probably a bad example.
Okay, well, I haven't seen it. And I really liked A Quiet Place, and that movie doesn't really have anything to say. It's just a scary
Literally.
film. But basically, the argument I saw somebody make was like, why would you go and see... they said, I like to see comedies because I go to see them to laugh. Why would you go to see a horror movie? Because you go and see them to feel scared. Like, you're tricking your body into joy with a comedy and fear with a horror film. And I've never understood the appeal until probably the last year of watching films. And if the point of a movie is to evoke emotion, this got my whole entire body involved with that. I was getting like chill bumps to my toes, to the top of my head. And I was watching it on my iPad in the middle of the night while my wife was sleeping. And she like gave me a little tip tap, hey, I think someone's in the house, while I'm in the middle of watching this movie.
Okay.
And I got headphones on.
And yeah,
I was like,
your head exploded through the roof.
Right. I was like, okay, they can have everything. There's nobody in our house, but my wife is pregnant and paranoid. And
she was paranoid before she was pregnant about that particular...
Yeah, there's always someone in our house.
About that particular thing. No, I would hazard to say that this is definitely my favorite horror movie that I have seen since... At least since 79.
The year?
Yeah.
You were born in 93.
No, but this is the most recent horror movie that I've liked.
I would say I really liked this. I really liked A Quiet Place. I really liked Thoroughbreds. And then before that, I liked
because I am
The Birds, Jaws.
So, that was my next point that I was going to make. Is like this is much more reminiscent of thrillers and suspense movies, like Alfred Hitchcock movies, like The Birds, like Psycho.
Yeah,
and that art was dead for a long time because once they made The Exorcist, and that was in the 70s. People were like, oh, we can just do jump scares, and that's the whole movie. And I hate that. That is the most cop-out thing I've ever seen. And so I think that we're trending back in the direction of like the horror blockbuster, where like actual directors are making horror movies again.
Yes,
like actual filmmakers. It's not just like a cop-out like, oh, I've got 2 weeks and $100,000. Let's make a horror movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I actually enjoy horror movies. I don't know. I kind of like the suspense and the thrill and obviously the emotion to them. But I think we are making a turn, like you said, Ethan.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like this is a 98% Rotten Tomatoes. Us has a 99%, just down from 100. Comes out in 2 days. Like this, and Quiet Place did very well. Nominated for awards. People loved the new It. People are excited for Pet Sematary, the remake coming out. People are excited for the next It remake coming out. It's like this is. I think that we're reaching another like point where horror movies are an actual genre and not just something to be written off immediately. It's not just Paranormal Activity 27.
Exactly. Or Saw 13.
Right.
Yeah.
Saw 13, The Conjuring 9.
Exactly.
Following up on that though, Ethan, do you think that horror will become a regular genre on this show?
I don't know. I have no idea. It depends on what comes out.
I think it depends upon what comes out. I don't unless we start doing classics, I don't foresee us doing anything from our lifetime in horror for the most part.
Oh yeah, I cannot think of a movie made between 1993 and now, 2017 that I would want to do as a horror movie. I would love to do some Hitchcock. Love to.
Right.
Those are some of my favorite movies, but that's that has been labeled horror sort of post-mortem.
Well, and I'll say this as somebody who's not like a very well educated in the horror, thriller, thrasher, suspense films. I'm lumping all of those into horror. I'm just putting that title on everything.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people do.
Sure, I'm getting the terminology wrong, but you got to understand from my perspective, they're all the same thing.
For sure. Now, there are certain exceptions to this. Like I love like zombie movies. Like I loved I Am Legend.
Yes,
and a lot of people would consider that a horror movie. It's got a lot of the same mechanics. It does have jump scares, which I don't like.
Yeah, there's really only like one scene in that though.
What do you mean?
With the jump scare.
There's more than one.
Is there?
Those things tend to come out of nowhere, and that's what I loved about this movie. movies, it did not rely on that. It did not rely on like, ooh, scared you, buddy, fucking gotcha.
Yeah.
There was a few of those moments.
There was when the deer hits the car, my heart stopped.
The deer hits the car.
And I knew it was going to happen.
Oh, Georgina, yeah, when she's like creeping through the house. She's the creepiest part of it.
Yeah.
Anytime Georgina's on screen, I'm scared.
Well, I mean, and I feel like when you're an up and coming film composer, horror movie is like your bread and butter. You're like, I got normal music, maybe kind of suspenseful, and then stab, and then back to normal.
I also think when Grandpa was running in the yard, that was a very weird moment. I don't know, because it's like you're like watching the scare come, and you're still scared even when it happens.
Well, and that was the most, between that and the time when he turns around and sees the woman in the window, which I guess is pretty much the exact same scene. But that is the most like stereotypical horror movie filming of the entire movie, is when like you see Chris, you see his viewpoint, there's nothing off in the distance, you see Chris again, you cut back, there's a guy running.
Yeah.
And it's like you open How to Make Horror Movies for Dummies. Page 1. Do that at least 3 times.
But I think that scene's actually important. I mean, although it kind of like, I don't know. A lot of people, I read a few reviews that said like they don't see like how does that even fit into the plot. But I think it fits perfectly, because I think that's one of the few times that Chris kind of goes beyond his suspicions of, you know, Georgina and the yard worker, and actually sees them acting outside of, you know, just, you know, serving tea or, you know, chopping wood. And so I thought that's why that scene was pretty important.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely one of those moments where he's like, okay, something is going on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Normal people don't do that at all.
Right. Well, and it also, I think when you come back around to watch it, it gives you something to say like, oh, the yard worker guy is running because he wants his body to be in top physical condition all the time. Like that's just part of his thing, is that like part of the reason they want black people is because they're more naturally fit. So the movie says. And, you know, she's looking in the mirror admiring her beauty, and you find out later on that she's the grandmother. So now she's this, you know, young, beautiful black woman. You know, it sort of makes it make a little bit more sense to me.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do think when Georgina turns and looks out the window and notices him on the camera, my heart literally stopped.
Yeah. I was like, she's about to show up 1 foot away from him.
And he's going to die.
In the next second.
Yeah. In that moment, you thought like she was a monster. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was definitely the moment where I was like, you know, that was definitely the moment where I was like, okay, this is where it turns supernatural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I thought as well. Speaking of Georgina and Grandpa, which I forget his name in the movie, but the moments where you see them struggle with their actual being versus just being grandma and grandpa, I think those parts were very interesting. The one that stands out the most was Georgina, when she like starts crying and she's just like, you know, no.
Oh yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. When she finds him in the Walter is the name of the yard worker, the grandpa. Yeah. The moments where, you know, the surgery or whatever breaks are crazy pants.
Yeah.
You know, like when the person sort of sitting in the back or in the fallen zone, what is it called?
Sunken place.
Sunken place.
Fallen
the person
zone.
in the sunken place starts, you know, screaming basically.
Yeah.
Those are
right, because the original person's still in there
for sure.
Right.
And obviously the clearest example we see of that is when he takes the picture of the guy and he, you know, his nose starts bleeding, which is just insane. And then he like yells like, "Get out! Like you got to get out of here, man!" Like,
yeah, and I think that was the most powerful line in the whole movie when Chris is like, "No, I didn't recognize him. I recognize the guy running at me."
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, Fortnite. Okay, I see where you're coming. That's a powerful piece of dialogue you got there.
Yeah, he's like, you know, when he came to attack me, that's when I felt like I knew him the most, or, you know, something to that extent. And then obviously a little comic relief was that he goes like fist bump the guy and he grabs his hand.
And he grabs his hand and shakes his hand.
Yeah, the whole turkey thing. That definitely was just something that.
Quick question: is that the dude from the beginning?
It is. So he's the guy who literally gets kidnapped in the beginning, which you know, I was kind of like waiting to see when I first watched this movie. I didn't make the connection until later. But I was waiting, like, okay, what does this have to do with anything else? And then you find out that that's the guy.
I knew it was the same car, so I knew there was a connection.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just this like weird sketch at the beginning where black people getting abducted.
Well, the thing is he has a beard in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do kind of a poor job of kind of making that more well known.
I agree with that. Actually, I think that it's kind of whack that like he doesn't look like himself. Like
Yeah, and I think that's intentional, but also kind of a poor imagery from the audience point of view, because it was hard for me to make that connection. I don't know what they could have done, but maybe
they could have just
kept
either
the
had
beard.
him with a beard or had it without it.
Or also, I don't know, the beginning scene was at night. He's like walking down the street with his head down in his phone,
Yeah.
and so maybe
Make him a
making
little
his
more
face
visible. But then,
yeah.
But then I guess it's just it's kind of one of those things like where if you catch it, you catch it. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it gives you something when you go back and watch again, too.
For sure.
That's very true.
I think there's a lot of rewatchability in here. Like I finished it and I was almost like, I want to watch that again.
Yeah, for sure. There's so
because
many,
there's so much like really interesting foreshadowing. I think the way that the brother talks about jujitsu, about how it's it's not about strength, it's about being 4 steps ahead or whatever, is exactly how Chris escapes in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hides in the right places, he gets the right steps ahead so that he can, beat the brother with the blunt object and then stab the father, and then
I think it was a bit of the brother trying to like talk about how they go about kidnapping people, but also it was foreshadowing in how Chris was going to go about beating them in the end.
Right. I think both were there, and I think Chris runs out of steps that he's ahead.
For sure.
When it's like, and how concerned were you? Did you figure it out at all?
No. I don't know. I mean, when I first watched it, no. And then rewatching it, I just kind of like picked up on more other clues that I could have picked up on to kind of realize it, but I did not.
Right. One of the other things that was interesting to me is at the end, he's going through the house killing the family. I was steadfast concerned for where the girlfriend was.
Oh, yeah. Like the entire time I was like, she's going to come out of nowhere and she's going to be the one that kills him.
She's just going to shoot him.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, the end is going to be, she wins. This black man came to her house and killed her family.
Yeah.
And she protected herself.
And then it cuts to her sitting in her bed, eating Fruit Loops and drinking milk.
Right.
Yeah, it was wild.
Oh, and also, I guess another critical point is she's also researching her next victim, which was very creepy.
Yeah, she's looking up like NCAA prospects. How does the bingo thing work?
That's their bidding.
They're bidding?
Yeah, it's literally
That's
a
what I
slave
thought.
auction.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but I feel like it's the fact that it's bingo is a front. I think, well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I was just, I don't know. I was kind of confused by that. I was like, okay, well, what's with why don't you just hold up your hand or something? I don't know. But
because that's much less obvious, I guess, if Chris just sees him there with bingo cards.
Exactly.
While he's freaking out, figuring out what's going on, they're bidding on him.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me because he was clearly selected for the one guy.
No, I don't think that he was.
Yeah, I don't think that was the setup there.
I think...
Well, no, because if she's looking up NCAA prospects, it would stand to reason that she also looked up, like, prominent black photographers in my city.
I think that's true, but that also could have been just like she's looking at black photographers because they want to target to sell to that guy.
Right. Clearly,
they bring all these... There's no guarantee that everybody, while they're in on it, is in on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they've got to make their money somehow.
Yeah, I think she just, finds who she can find, and then their hopes is that the person that they know wants those traits will bid on them.
Yeah, and I guess at some point it doesn't matter who they sell them to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for sure.
God, this is the saddest thing in the world.
No,
My
yeah,
heart is breaking having this conversation.
I literally was just like thinking, like, oh my god, like how nonchalant. But obviously, we're in the context of a movie.
But that's how the movie presents it, though. Is it?
For sure.
And this is, I mean, at the end of the day, not to get too real with it, but like this is on some level a thing that happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
this isn't like a trade that's gone.
Human trafficking is a huge problem, especially even in the States right now. It's like you go to the Atlanta airport right now, and every 30 seconds there's a message just like, "Hey, we're taking a stand against human trafficking. If you see anything weird, call the police immediately." And that plays every 30 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's I think it's even more broad in meaning, in the way that you think about predominant, African American athletes and people are, taken advantage of for their abilities and things like that. Obviously just not people of color, but I feel like in other aspects where people are led to believe that they are, going to be have this great opportunity, and it just turns out that people are just taking advantage of them for their talent or whatnot.
For sure.
So I think it has a much broader meaning. But I definitely agree with what you were saying there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million different ways you can look at it, and they're all true. Is the sad thing, at least somewhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, very very interesting the way it was portrayed in the movie. And yeah, during that the bingo like whole scene, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
I mean, I think you could make that as just a subtitle for the whole movie. It's like, get out. Very interesting the way it was portrayed in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just like every scene is dripping with different levels of, you can take it this way, you can take it this
symbolism,
way.
messaging.
Right. There's like the thing that's going on in the movie. There's the obvious connection. There's the less obvious connection. There's the slightly less obvious connection. Like, and it just keeps going. It's a masterfully written movie for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, just I go back to like, who would have thought Jordan Peele?
Very true.
Like, the Key and Peele guy.
Yeah, that dude wrote this.
Wait, who? Yeah, for sure.
Yep, written and directed. Which, like, if you're Keegan-Michael Key, how do you feel about this?
Is there pressure?
Oh yes, I'm putting pressure on Keegan-Michael Key right now. I'm saying it. Like, dude, step up. Let's go.
Step up your
What do
horror
you
film
got?
game.
Yeah, what do you have?
You're letting your
What
boy
are you,
over
Toy
here.
Story 4?
Yeah,
He is in Toy Story 4.
They both
are.
Oh,
yeah.
that's true. Yeah,
That's the thing is like most of his accomplishments are along with Jordan.
that's true.
What does Keegan-Michael Key got for us?
Yeah.
No, I mean that's an honest question. I'm curious. I would love to see what he would come up with, given the reins to like a non-comedy movie.
I don't know. I'd be curious to get more insight on their writing process and between the two of them and as individuals, sort of what they do different, what they do the same, all that jazz.
No,
I did really like Keanu. That movie was hysterical.
I still have not seen Keanu.
Me neither.
It was pretty Fortnite funny, to tell you the truth. It was pretty funny. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed that movie. It looked awful.
I still haven't seen it, and I feel like I should.
It's worth it. It's worth a watch. It's good for a good chuckle.
Oh, is that the with the cat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the cat movie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I was kind of turned off by the trailer of that, but
I was as well, but it ended up being pretty darn funny.
yeah. I'll definitely have to check it out.
I mean, there's this one point where Keegan-Michael Key has this entire group of gangsters convinced that the minivan is the most gangster vehicle you could possibly drive.
It is, Ethan. I don't like it.
and that the hardest musician to ever live was George Michael.
Wow.
And it's absolutely hysterical. And the cat's adorable.
Sounds like it. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out.
It was pretty funny. I was surprised. Jordan Peele wrote that movie. Keegan-Michael Key did not.
I think Ethan asked earlier about our favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if I gave one. I'm trying to think. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I obviously like the ending where Rod comes to the rescue. All the rest in the middle was just kind of like jarring. Tyler, did you have a favorite part?
I do like the ending. I think I don't know that I do have a favorite part. I think the whole thing is just fascinating. Yeah, I think that's sort of where I'm at with it. Can we just? I mean, we're talking about it. We're all here. I will say my appreciation for minorities in the film industry has exponentially grown over the past, I don't know,
since whenever
3
this
weeks
movie came out.
Well, definitely since whenever this movie came out. But like, I remember when Black Panther first came out, I remember seeing it and being like, yeah, that was a Marvel movie. That was, I don't know, 100%, but it was good. It was good. And then Vashaun, you and I watched it at my house for the birthday party this year. When were you here?
Yeah, the bacon and eggs party.
The Bacon and Eggs party, that's what you're here for. The 1 year Bacon and Eggs party. You and I watched it the next day, and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Any part of me that was like, this isn't that good, was wrong.
Yeah.
This is very cool. And not just because of the people that produced it, but that's a large part of it. And it's important and it's good. And then last week with Captain Marvel, going sort of in a different direction, with women in cinema, just getting so excited about that. And, female directors, female leads. I've just been very excited about the diversity in film lately, and I just wanted to bring that up and point that out and see if anybody had any commentary on
I'm
that.
completely with that. I I'm so glad to see that, especially, black writers and black directors and actors have been just thriving the past year or so. I mean, maybe the awards aren't quite coming in the way they wanted to, but like they're doing a really good job in getting recognized for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're making excellent films.
Yeah.
Too.
That's what I'm saying is like, it's been extraordinary. Like just even the work that Ryan Coogler himself has done in the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where the appreciation for this movie in particular comes from, because it's not just relying on the excitement and the hype of the Marvel, cinema universe. When it comes to Black Panther and whatnot, obviously that has something to do with it, but I don't know, it's just so many things that can be appreciated about this film, like we talked about earlier, just like the total out of the blue of Jordan Peele, being able to do this, and then the way it's able to portray in a very authentic way some of the experiences that Black people have, and then also just being an overall good film for everyone, essentially. And so definitely appreciate that and love that about this movie. And then talking about other movies with people of color kind of taking the lead, obviously very appreciative of that, because it just opens up the space for a more authentic feel. But it's movies for everyone. It's definitely movies for everyone. It's just as important for me as a person of color to see people doing well of color as it is for everyone else, because it just gives a different perspective, and that just enlightens people and opens people's eyes, and that's always a good thing, I think. So
for sure. And I mean, people are taking notice. Yes. Like Spike Lee was nominated for Best Picture in 2018. He didn't win.
Yeah, with a film with the KKK in the title.
Man, have y'all seen that movie?
It's so good.
Oh my God. Vashaun, have you seen that movie?
I have not seen that movie yet. I definitely need to see it.
Yeah. BlacKkKlansman. Holy shit. I don't love to get into the debate of like what should have won Best Picture, but like that should have won Best Picture.
It's so good.
And a lot of people, Spike Lee got a lot of crap for the way he responded to not winning. And
yeah, I noticed
it was
that.
just like, it definitely showed the worst of Hollywood there for a minute, especially like Hollywood reporters and everything, because there were so many people, he was on the red carpet on the way out, so many people just like, Spike, are you mad because Green Book, the movie about white people being nice to a black guy, won instead of your movie? And Spike Lee's just like, I'm just mad I lost. Like, leave me alone. Like,
right.
I've been making movies for 35 years. I finally got nominated. Like, this was rad. I didn't win. I'm a little upset. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely noticed that. It was kind of almost ironic in a way, but still, I definitely understand that.
And that's the thing is like, that movie getting nominated for Best Picture, Black Panther getting nominated for Best Picture. Why are we waving?
Emily just wanted to say
hi. Oh, I just saw Vashaun. I just looked up and I just see Vashaun waving at me, and I was like, Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, this getting nominated for Best Picture, Black Panther getting nominated, BlacKkKlansman getting nominated. I'm sure us will get nominated. It's making people that wouldn't normally take notice, and it's in ways that maybe it necessarily shouldn't, but like they'll get there, because like I've had a bunch of people be like, "Oh, I loved BlacKkKlansman. It's such a great movie. Adam Driver did such a great job," and I'm like,
right,
you're right there. Like,
you're so close.
You're right there. You'll get it. You'll get it. It'll sink in. Give it 2 weeks. It'll sink in. You're gonna want to watch it again.
Yeah.
I promise. And
I think with that whole thing, we've seen a lot of filmmakers, actors, producers, everything like that on the people of color side of things. I think the next industry that probably needs a little facelift on the diversity is film critics.
Yeah.
I think that, like Ethan and I are sitting here, two young straight white males. We add to the conversation, but I think most of what we say is noise. I think that we have nuanced ideas, but I also think that we can't possibly have the perspective necessary to speak for all people,
right?
In the world of film.
And so we actually try to go out and find people to help us understand where we lack, instead of just turning in an article being like, yeah, it was cool, but like I'm not black, so like whatever.
Yeah,
it didn't have anything to do with me.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's just as important. Obviously, I hope that the movie critic world does become more diverse, but I think it's just as important for people who aren't of color to engage and watch these movies as it is for people of color. If not more important, because in a lot of ways, just to put it bluntly, they have a little bit broader of a voice and influence in certain circumstances. And so now that other people are being able to have that as well, obviously is very important. So, So yeah, that definitely makes sense.
For sure. And this was definitely like a movie where, it was made, at least in some part, for white people to listen and pay attention and see some side of it that they wouldn't normally see. Whereas a movie like Black Panther is very important for the reason that it gives, especially young black kids in America, it gives them that opportunity to have a superhero that looks like them. And the same thing just happened with Captain Marvel. It's like now you've got these two complete groups of people that had never had that feeling before. They're like, there's a superhero that looks like me.
Yeah, I mean, and I think obviously this isn't a Black Panther review, but it does a great job of like juxtaposing, starting off in Oakland and then going to Wakanda, where they're like their royalty and their family and they're taking care of each other, and so being able to see that as well, that is just as important as just being able to see yourself as a superhero, being able to see yourself as someone outside of that Oakland experience that they try to portray in the beginning.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then I guess for Get Out, kind of did the same thing. Obviously, it turned into horror to teach a lesson, but also it very well can bring a presence or a meaning behind interracial relationships as well. So,
I've got two questions here. I'm gonna ask them both first, so I don't forget them. First, does this help or hinder interracial relationships moving forward? Two, Ethan, at any point watching this film, did you feel personally victimized by Jordan Peele?
Yes, I think it definitely helps. I think that as long as white people are actually going to see movies like this and opening their eyes to movies like this, me included, like I've grown up so much just especially in these kind of conversations since I saw this movie, and not necessarily as a direct result, but it sure as hell didn't hurt. It's like I think it's definitely important. I think it's definitely going to continue to help things, and as long as Jordan Peele keeps making movies that people go see, as long as Ryan Coogler keeps making movies that people go see, like that is the most important thing. Keep giving a voice to those stories is the most important thing. And was there any point where I felt victimized? No, not at all.
I don't think I ever felt like, wow, he thinks less of me. But I think there's lines in the film where like tragically relatable. Like I've definitely caught myself saying things like, I would have voted for Obama a third time. Which I think you're just bringing that awareness to like, I know you think you're being helpful, but you're actually not.
And that's the real thing, is like that is the worst scenario that a lot of people partake in daily, is that like that forced relatability, that like I have to find some way to level myself with this person. And it's like, Vashaun, does that kind of rhetoric help at all, or does that hurt? Or like, honest to God, like give me your true opinion. Like where?
No, yeah. So
do people say that to you in real life, like stuff like that?
oh yeah, all the time. And I think that it's important. So first of all, I'll just answer Tyler's first question, which helps or hurts interracial relationships. And I think it definitely helps because it brings about a conversation. And that's always important versus, putting things on the back burner or whatnot. But I think it also allows for both black and white people to take a lesson in the context of a movie versus, I don't know, because it kind of sets up a scenario. It sets up more context in certain circumstances, and it gives you a way to kind of step back and look versus being able to just experience it from a very personal point of view. So, I mean, that has its ups and downs, but yeah, I definitely have experienced that a lot, whether it's microaggressions or things such as, I voted for Obama as well, or I support Obama. And in cases, it definitely can hurt because I feel like what that does, it in that moment, you're not trying to relate to me. Well, you are from your point of view, but in my head, it just feels like you're making an assumption about me and you're taking it and painting me with a broad brush. And so in certain circumstances, it can hurt because it's just a microaggression, or it can be perceived as just an assumption that you're making about me because I'm black. I must like Obama too. Now that's,
I mean, there are worse assumptions you can make.
Yeah,
they're
not to get too political here, but
yeah. So I mean, that's a bad example, but there are a lot of other assumptions out there that can be made that can kind of hurt because it gets to not you just trying to relate to me. It's about you making an assumption about me and taking that as fact, and then trying to pull that out of me in some way. Like, okay, I like this too. I'm sure you do because you're black,
Right.
So that's kind of where that hit home.
And that was definitely a thing that, like, I had to sort of learn even just talking about this movie
Yeah.
to people and talking about Black Panther to people. It's like, you know, I started to realize how many assumptions I make just based on anybody, not just people of color, but anybody. That was definitely where something was thrown into sharp relief for me when I started talking about these movies. It's like, I can't guarantee that just because somebody is a black person, they've seen Get Out, they've seen, you know, Black Panther, and if I go up and start talking about movies and then immediately jump to those movies, like, I'm gonna look like an enormous Fortnite. Like,
yeah, for sure. And it,
no, I mean, I'm with
sure.
that. Like, no, seriously, like, if I did that, and that's one of those things where, like, I almost can't stop myself from talking about it in the first place. Like, I catch it on the back end, and I'm like, Frick, that was so tactless.
No, yeah, I understand that for sure. And I think, I mean, if we're being honest here, all people do that. They make assumptions about groups of people, especially groups of people that you may not be as familiar with. You make assumptions, and that's kind of how we get to stereotypes, and stereotypes become, prejudice, and then it can get out of hand, obviously, very quickly. But if you are able to take a step back and think about it, and just engage in a conversation in an honest and open way, I think that's something that you'll definitely be able to learn from and move past. But I definitely have experienced it quite a bit and understand where it comes from. It's not like I walk up to a white person and assume a thing about them. I should just lost my train of thought. But at the same time, I understand being able to want to relate to somebody. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily assume these characteristics about them just because they're a certain race or a certain ethnicity.
For sure. And I mean, I don't think we make it any secret that, like, that is a thing that white people do more so than most people, where they're like, they assume that all black people are the same and like the same things. And, like, I don't face a lot of that in return. I don't have a whole lot of people coming up to me and being like, you're white, you must love Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So.
Right. Like, I don't have people of color approaching me being like, here's why Michael Jordan is better than Scottie Pippen.
Right.
We're all on the same page.
Like nobody comes up and has this conversation with me, and therefore I have to put myself in the place of, like, that means it's probably not my job to lead the conversation at that point. I could definitely take a step back and let other voices be heard, especially if it's just in my personal life, people talking to me specifically. It's like, let them talk. Let me hear their story before I start talking about my story. And that's just been a personal thing that I've learned, even just a lot in the last year. Just since we started doing the show, since we started having more outside opinions, since we started talking about movies like this, like Black Panther, like, some of the Oscar contenders.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely don't assume. Black people obviously are not a monolith. They're not, they don't talk the same, dress the same, act the same, listen to the same music, and definitely, so being able to engage in the conversation more openly and honestly, I think is a good thing. Don't rush to try to relate, because I think that's also, as we saw in the movie, can be off-putting, and it kind of can seem like you're trying to just appease in a way.
And that's the thing, is there's nothing particularly great for either party about those conversations. Like, those aren't fun conversations to have. It's like, I'll live my life and you live your life, and let's find some middle ground together where we can converse, where we can have an interesting conversation. Let's not just be like, oh yeah, you probably love Kanye West, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like things like that, such as music or movies, or those are in any type of small talk subjects. You just have to be able to approach it in a way of learning versus assuming, and I think that's the way you have to look at it.
Right. And let me just say one thing. If you do the thing where you come up to somebody and you're like, I would have voted for Obama a third time, congratulations, you are a Fortnite. Not because you just assumed anything about a group of people, but because you came into a conversation with a stranger and talked about politics. Stop doing that entirely. Just cut that out. Nobody, and I can assure you that if especially the people of color that you meet on the street want to talk about politics, they will let you know it is not your job, white dude, to start that conversation anymore. Like, we gotta, for the most part, we gotta stop. I'm speaking to the people that look like me right now. We gotta stop starting conversations like that on the whole.
Just kind of jumping the gun. And I will say, not just on the Obama comment, but any kind of blatant, like, jump to certain touchy subjects or subjects that you think are okay in certain situations, I think also kind of dismisses my humanity in a way. It's just kind of like you're just trying to get to this thing to just make a point versus, just being able to have a conversation and being able
Right.
to actually just like talk about my day
sure.
and what I'm doing, so
Listen, the way I was raised was not to talk to strangers of any race. Period. Race wasn't even part of that conversation.
Don't talk to strangers
at all.
Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to anybody ever. Live a life of silence. This is probably bad advice. Don't live a life of silence. Talk to people. Have the conversation. Grow as a culture.
for sure. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you bringing it up. And I will say on the other hand, you asked the question, did you ever feel what was it, targeted or
Personally victimized, by Jordan Peele.
I saw many reviews where people thought that was the case. I will say I felt a lot of very personal moments in this movie. It did a very great job of just relating to both sides, or I don't know, hopefully not victimizing, but just making very obvious some of the contrasts that exist in society and how we approach life events and such.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would.
I will say one thing. If you out there do feel personally victimized by Jordan Peele, especially in this movie, there's probably a reason for it.
It's okay to change.
Yeah, just do something different.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable having these types of conversations, and I just hope that people know that if they don't engage the conversation, then they're going to continue to feel uncomfortable. So if you can get to the point where you feel comfortable having that conversation openly, I think that's more important. In that way, you're able to grow more and not continue to make the same microaggressions or mistakes, if you will.
For sure. I'll say this. I am very excited to watch Us next week. I am also terrified. I am also terrified. But I gotta say this. I've just said I've started my last 8 sentences with I just gotta say this, or I'll say one thing.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm gonna say 8 things. When it comes to filmmaking, I'll tell you what. White dudes, it's not necessarily our turn anymore. Because there's a lot of people that are making really, really good movies that don't fit that standard director demographic. I mean, the last 5 of the last 6 best directors have gone to specifically Mexicans. You got these movies coming out. You've got Ryan Coogler movies coming out. You've got a Marvel movie made by a woman that's made $779 million in the last 10 days.
It's so good too.
It's like we had our minute, man, and now it's time for us to move over a little bit, and we as a whole need to stop being upset about that.
Here's the thing. Here's the argument I normally see. I think the approach people want to see is if 10 out of 10 great movies are made by straight white men, then let's make 20 great movies and give the other 10 to minorities, people of color, women, etc., etc. But there's only so much room on this stage.
Right. And look at the movies that get nominated for awards, specifically the movies that do really well. It's like a lot of it is turning the other direction.
It is.
And that's such a great thing to see, because we're getting so many different voices. We're getting so many different bright and vibrant stories being told. And that's exciting.
Yeah. I agree, but I will say, it's definitely not a zero-sum game. I don't think just because we have more diversity that there should be less white men. And so, I just feel like it's just you just have to step up, and you have to be able to perform at the caliber and and appeal to the audience, the wider audience that there is out there.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, in a broader sense, equality doesn't mean oppression on the other end.
For sure.
And so that's definitely something that I don't want to get lost in the conversation, and then that gets to kind of like people feeling victimized, which definitely there's enough room for everybody. So don't feel like just because other people stepping up, you then have to step down. You just have to perform at the level.
No, for sure. It's just like you got to realize that somebody else is throwing the gauntlet down.
Yeah, exactly.
And that it's not just a one-sided game anymore. You don't just have to compare yourself to
Michael Jordan is better than Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is you got a lot more Michael Jordans coming up.
Yeah.
And some of the Scottie Pippens on the team are fearing for their starting spot right now.
That doesn't mean they suck. They just got to step it up,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that white dudes are making worse movies. It just means that a part of it is definitely that people are getting opportunities they never got before. Part of it is people are getting recognized for stuff that they're doing that they would have never gotten recognized before. And part of it is just that I don't even know. It's just a good time for minority made movies.
For sure.
I mean, $779 million in 10 days for Captain Marvel.
That was such a good movie.
Good God.
I loved it. I'll be honest with you. My feelings on Captain Marvel have only grown since last week.
Yeah, because it just...
Since
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Well, I was going to say, since we released that episode, I learned that I'm having a daughter, and, like, I cannot get enough Captain Marvel.
Since we released that episode, I learned that my best friend's having a daughter.
yeah, since that episode was released, I learned that someone I know is having a daughter.
Right.
So it's like...
And then he gets to have a daughter that grows up in a world where that character exists.
Yeah.
That, like, that your daughter never has to live a single day in her life not having Captain Marvel to look up to.
I know. Not having Brie Larson.
You know what? If she grows up and she's like, I'm a huge Iron Man fan. Captain Marvel sucks. That was a bad movie. It's like, I mean, cool. But she had that opportunity. Like...
yeah.
Right. It was there.
Yeah. And
as long as she's a, Marvel fan. Not...
Right.
I'm kidding, actually. I have, right, you can't see it, but right next to me is a Wonder Woman costume, because she'll be 3 months around Halloween. It's a 3-month size.
Planning ahead.
I mean, Wonder Woman's great, too.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's awesome.
It's just not as good of a movie.
No, it's not. But I think, there's a lot more rich history of the character with Wonder Woman. There's a lot of more stuff to pull from.
Oh, for sure, if
you're looking at Captain Marvel, who was, as in the current iteration, the costumes we see, the character we're looking at, the very idea of this person was in 2012.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for sure.
And whereas Wonder Woman...
I've been watching Wonder Woman cartoons since I was a child, like Justice League stuff. But it's like, and it's not Wonder Woman's fault. It's not Gal Gadot's fault. It's not the character's fault that, like, DC just doesn't have as competent of a team around the movie. Like,
well, it's got better reviews. It didn't make as much money, but critically it did better.
Yeah, but it's not as good.
No, I agree. I think Captain Marvel's amazing.
For sure.
Captain Marvel shook more branches, therefore it got more rotten fruit as well as fresh fruit.
Well, yeah, it was so good. I loved it.
And now it's just kind of like stewing, because you're just waiting for what's next.
Oh, I know. It's so so far away still. It is over a month.
I cannot wait.
I'm so like everybody's so nervous. That's the thing, is like I'm not nervous. I don't ever get those feelings about these Marvel movies because like there's nothing I can do to change the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do not have that power. So I'm just like I'm excited for it to come out. I'm excited to watch it, but like I'm not nervous for the outcome. It's like if they kill my favorite superhero, like oh darn, those movies still exist. Right. It's not like they lock them up forever. Like well, Thor's dead now. You can never watch Thor Ragnarok ever again.
Well, and here's the thing: they may kill OG Avengers, but they're not going to kill these new characters we fall in love with. I'm not worried about Strange. I'm not worried about Spider-Man. I'm not worried about Captain Marvel. I'm not worried about Black Panther. I think
you will get at least one more Guardian that does not make it through.
I don't think it's going to be Dave Bautista. I think he's in now.
I think it's going to be Rocket.
Oh, God, I hope not. Unless they're bringing Bradley Cooper in for a live action role.
True.
Hey, you sound kind of familiar.
That would be the only way I'd be okay with it.
Who would Bradley Cooper play?
Ant-Man 2.
Mr. Fantastic. Ant-Man 2.
Scott is already Ant-Man.
Yeah, the third Ant-Man, the guy that takes over for Scott Lang.
Right. You know how bad you have to be Ant-Man's backup.
What if they kill what if they kill Ant-Man? Like what a random thing to do.
I know he already exists in the MCU, but I think I truly believe Bradley Cooper would make a good Johnny Blaze. Ghost Rider.
I can see it.
Ghost Rider is currently in the MCU canon, though.
I know. I just said he's already there.
Oh, I thought you were saying Bradley Cooper is already in the MCU.
Bradley Cooper. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Both of those things exist in the MCU. I know if he wasn't already a character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm glad that they went that direction with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and brought in like a major character like that, even though I didn't watch it. I think that strengthens the story. I think he would have made a good Daredevil. Or not Daredevil, Ghost Rider. I'm trying to think of other Marvel heroes.
I know they've used so many is the thing.
Oh, we have the X-Men now, so he could be anything.
Oh my god, I do not want another X-Men reboot.
Oh, it's happening.
There have been 0 X-Men reboots, Ethan. 0 X-Men reboots to date.
Not in my
all
canon.
The same timeline.
I choose not to acknowledge the garbage that has come out since X3.
Same.
Okay, be nice to X-Men 2. I refuse to accept the garbage that's come out since X-Men 2.
No, I liked 3. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm telling you, is that 3 was
Are you talking about The Last Stand?
Last Stand? Fortnite. You?
Last Stand is
No, it was not.
All right,
Go watch it again. Fix your life.
I'm looking at these Marvel heroes. Is there a villain Bradley Cooper could play that would convince you? There's not a lot of villains I don't know. He could be like Norman Osborn or something.
I wouldn't want to see Bradley Cooper as a villain. I like him too much.
No, they can recast Cable. They're gonna have to. Oh boy. I wonder how Josh Brolin's feeling about this whole thing.
Why are they gonna have to recast Cable?
Because it's the same guy. Deadpool's moving to the MCU.
No, he's not.
Oh, I think he will.
I don't think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, he is.
We'll see tomorrow. It finalizes tonight. I'm almost certain there will be a post-credit scene involving Deadpool or
Wait,
Mr.
we'll see what tomorrow?
The Fox merger finalizes tonight. So I think that there will be Deadpool news tomorrow. And Ryan Reynolds posted on Instagram today a picture of Deadpool and Mickey ears.
I don't think that means he's going to be in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely owned by Disney now, but I don't know.
Yeah, this is where the MCU can do new universes.
I'll tell you. Also, yeah, like Deadpool can break the fourth wall. He can definitely break that canon.
I think the only, sadly enough, I think the only character in a separate franchise that they could bring in pretty easily without much question would be Tom Hardy's Venom. There's no presence right now for West Coast Avengers, so they could just be like, oh yeah, that all happened in San Francisco while nobody was there.
Right. Well, I mean, Tom Hardy's Venom's part of the Spider-Verse, so...
Is that
not part of Sony's Spider? I guess he is Sony's Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he is Sony's Spider-Verse. That's also Disney now.
true?
Bradley Cooper for Captain America.
Captain America reboot. That's what I don't want. I will boycott Marvel movies if they do a Captain America reboot. Yeah, so let's do a wrap up. Holy Fortnite. We've been talking for an hour and 50 minutes.
Oh, look at that. That's right where we're supposed to be.
That was so quick.
Done did it.
Yeah, it happens fast. Wrapping up the show. Do you love coffee? I love coffee. Go to carlinbrothers.com and use promo code BACON at checkout for 10% off your order. I don't think you have to go through the other things that we said earlier. But try it and let us know.
The link is in the description. Just click on that, and it'll take you there. And then you type in BACON, that's BACON, Bravo, Alpha, Charlie, Oscar, November. I'm going to get it right this week. BACON at checkout for 10% off your entire order of coffee, or tea, or cold brew, which is coffee that's cold and already made.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, what did you think of this movie at the end of the day? How does it leave you feeling?
Like it was awesome. I very much enjoyed Get Out. I know we went on a tangent there, but Get Out was legitimately awesome.
I think that was our most topical tangent ever, though. Well, maybe not the Marvel part, but the whole, like, how do you feel as a person in America part.
Yeah, for sure. No, this movie was great. I loved it. Very thought-provoking, and it also just made me feel a lot better by the end of it than I did towards the middle. But overall, I thought it was pretty great.
And like the thing is, you take all the race stuff out of it, it's still one of the best horror movies that's come out in the last a long time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just as like a film, it's very interesting.
Even if we had totally perfect race relations, this would still be a banger film.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially among horror movies.
Yeah, just the concept of a family kidnapping people to, transmit their being.
And it was not particularly scary, but I've definitely heard that the movie we're watching next week is terrifying.
Yeah, I'm very scared.
I also think it's probably going to be our least downloaded episode ever.
I mean, I don't know about
because
that.
No one's going to see that movie that listens to our show except for Rachel Dickhausen.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's going to go in a theater expecting like a Get Out 2, and it's just not going to be that.
Nope. Negative, Ghost Rider. They are going to be terrified.
Yeah. Still super excited to see it, though.
You want to hear my thoughts on how much of a little Fortnite I was watching the entire movie? You can tune in next week.
I'm so scared.
I'm terrified. I'm seeing it opening night.
Do you have tickets?
Nope.
It is probably fine.
This is Roanoke, Virginia. There are as many movie theater seats as there are people in this town. But I mean, that's also, I can get tickets. That's not a problem. That's the only time, because Kate wants to go with me, and that's the only time she's available between now and when we record.
Awesome.
So, is there a villain? All of the family. Everybody except Chris.
The whole family.
Everybody except
They're
Chris and Ron.
genius. This is some Heath Ledger level shit.
The, like, hive mind villain?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
the
good
mom.
one.
I would say the mom is the mastermind.
The big bad, yeah.
The mom and the grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the dad's almost doing it just to, like, keep the tradition alive, but the mom is just like, she's taking full control.
I feel like the dad doesn't even know he's doing it.
Yeah, I guess.
I think at the end of the day, he's just a guy that loved Barack Obama.
I'm pretty sure he's the one doing the surgery.
Right, but I don't think he's in control of his own like faculties.
I think he is.
don't think so?
I don't know. I kind of don't. I don't want to believe that the mom's controlling everybody.
No, I think that they allow her to.
That just seems wild to me that you would get this many people in on it. Like, I know...
Oh, I don't think she's controlling the friends.
That's the thing is, like...
I think they sold the friends.
I know a bunch of white people, and, like, I don't know anybody that would do this.
That would buy this? That would buy this product?
Yeah, that would be in on this thing. Granted, I guess that I don't live in that sort of affluence.
Yeah.
No, neither do I. I wasn't about to be like, well, I do.
Yeah, where like, my closest neighbor is across the lake.
Yeah, that's true.
My closest neighbor is no more than 10 yards away from me at this moment.
My neighbor's on the other side of this wall.
Yeah, well, you live in a city.
Indeed.
Fair enough. Let's put it on the big board.
Well, we have to do Captain Marvel as well, which we said we would do first thing this week. So we're doing it first thing before Get Out.
We're doing it second to last thing.
I say, okay, starting from the bottom, better than Venom, better than Transformers, better than Crimes of Grindelwald, better than Lego Movie 2, better than National Treasure, better than Ralph Breaks the Internet, better than Lego Begaman, better than Emperor's New Groove, better than Bumblebee, better than Miracle, better than Princess Bride, better than Interstellar, better than Toy Story, better than Batman Begins, better than Dark Knight Rises, better than Toy Story 2, better than How to Train Your Dragon 3, not better than Toy Story 3. Number 4 is where I'm putting Captain Marvel.
I would actually say that Captain Marvel is better than Toy Story 3. I think I liked it better. But I didn't like it better than Interstellar. So
Yeah, I would say it's better than Toy Story 3 for sure.
Okay, I can jive to that groove.
A new groove.
That's fine with me. I honestly, I feel like there's a little part of me that says Toy Story 3 is sacred, but that's fine with me. So that just puts Jurassic Park and Dark Knight above it. I think those go without
my
saying.
Toy Story stock dropped today specifically. The
Toy
TV
so true.
Okay, so move Captain Marvel into number 3. Get Out, I think, is better than Captain Marvel.
I don't think it's better than Jurassic Park though.
No, you want to talk about a horror movie that came out in my lifetime?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jurassic Park is sweet.
I kind of disagree. I don't think it's better than Captain Marvel.
I don't think it's better than Captain Marvel either.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I was throwing y'all a bone on that.
No, it's not. You're not that far off. Like, this is definitely toward the top end of the list. I mean, there's no particular flaw I can find with this movie,
But
No,
it's
neither.
not. It's not up there.
but it just doesn't. It doesn't make me like. There's not as much joy to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's got all the punch that Captain Marvel had, but it has almost none of the joy.
Yeah. It's a great movie, but it's not like, I don't know.
Okay, well, can I drop you down below Toy Story 2?
Probably.
I think so.
That's above Dark Knight Rises.
I mean, it's not better than Interstellar. My goal at this point is just to annoy Tyler as much as possible with that. But
I tell you what, Ethan, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send you this link. Where's the chat? Open conversation. I'm gonna send you this link. Okay.
Yeah.
You can move Interstellar above anything that's not bold,
okay,
but I'm not gonna look.
I can't even open it currently.
I'm not looking. My eyes. It doesn't feel good to cover my eyes like that though, so I'm gonna move my hand and rub my eyes because that actually is kind of soothing.
I actually do not think I can move anything.
Well, yeah, you don't drag and drop. You have to like delete.
Yeah.
Add rows, and then you gotta adjust all those. But I can adjust the numbers if you just move the thing.
I am moving the thing.
I'm not looking. I want you to know that I'm not.
I know. Come on now. Please tell me I didn't just Fortnite everything up. Oh God.
I mean, you can't mess it up that.
I can, and I may have.
Oh, God.
No, God. Control Z.
I did. I fixed it. Okay. I don't know how to add to this list.
Where are you putting it?
Under How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Okay.
I will concede some to you, not all the way. But I would say that it's honestly for me, Get Out is probably right between Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises.
I'm okay with that.
How do you feel about that, Vay?
I think that sounds good. Sounds about right.
Are you adjusting things?
I am not touching anything.
Oh gosh, what have I done?
It was the same reaction I had. All right, breakfast food. Good morning. Bless up. What do we got for breakfast? Chef D, what's for breakfast? Got egg whites, turkey sausage, apple Ciroc.
Jesus Christ.
That was the heyday. Okay, so if this is a breakfast food, what do we got here? Obviously, there's tea.
Oh, yeah.
The tea. We didn't mention the tea.
We did not mention the tea, but that's okay.
When somebody stirs tea around you now, how do you feel?
I have never, at no point have I touched the side of a mug with a spoon and not thought about this movie. At no point since I saw this 2 years and 1 month ago.
Yeah, seriously. Like, you're drinking tea, I'm just like...
It'll be a long time before I forget about that for whatever reason. And it definitely even happened today. I'm like, am I hypnotized? Am I in the sunken place? The fallen zone?
The fallen zone.
You guys are being mean to me. Okay, I think I couldn't remember one simple thing. You guys are just coming after poor little Tyler.
Okay. I really think we underrated Venom.
Underrated.
It was a joke. I really think you should just go ahead and put 47 blanks between Transformers and Venom.
There's not 47 more weeks in year 2.
I do not care.
I'm gonna put Captain Marvel in bold. You're not allowed to take it away because there's a chance that down the line we're gonna be like, I think this other thing is better, and there's a chance something will be better, but it can't go below. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Those are solid rankings.
Right. I got you. I'm with it. Okay. Breakfast food,
Will
though.
always be above Toy Story 3. Breakfast fruit.
Breakfast fruit.
Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops. A cup of Fruit
There you
Loops. Separately, a cup of milk.
Separate but equal.
Blank. J.K. Rowling.
I'm with the Fruit Loops. I'm with the separate but equal Fruit Loops.
Separate but
Separate
equal
but
Fruit
equal
Loops.
Fruit Loops.
Jesus Christ. With a cup of tea. 1 cup of Fruit Loops, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of tea.
And a spoon.
And a spoon.
Spawns.
Wow. I'm gonna go with a cup of tea, an English muffin.
Explain that.
It makes you wonder, but it still can be good on certain occasions.
Man, the way you ponder English.
Vashaun has a crisis with his English muffins. Duly noted. It makes you want. I'm just gonna leave it right there. I don't even want any more explanation. I just want that. I want that on a T-shirt. It makes you wonder, but it's still good.
I'm with that. We've done villain. We've done everything. I think.
We've done everything.
Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us. We're
go.
only 5 minutes over time.
That's not too bad. Ethan, wrap
That's
the
not
show
bad at
up.
all. Fair enough. Vashaun, any last thoughts?
I just want to say thank you guys for having me on here. It was a very cool experience. Also loved reviewing this movie particularly. Super excited for our upcoming contest. And you guys are awesome.
Thank you. Very much appreciated. Vashaun, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at instagram.com/VMBrandon. Actually, that's wrong. At graphite.vmb. That's where you'll find a lot of my awesome designs, including the logo for Bacon and Eggs. Always excited to do work for these guys. Feel free to check it out. Follow me, like, share. And give me feedback. Always looking to do more work, and I'm super excited to share it with you all.
Not to be a...
You listener can hire Vashaun Brandon to do your graphics. Listen. He is timely. He is good at what he does. He is not prohibitively expensive, and he is available for work. If you need a logo for a thing, or if you need graphic design work for anything, just email him. If he doesn't know how to do it, he will get you in touch with someone.
Sometimes I have sent requests to Vashaun for graphics, and he has them back to me within, 14 minutes. That has definitely happened. There was also one time where we were being completely inconsiderate, and he was just like, hey, can you guys send me this stuff the day before, please? We're like,
well, no,
holy shit, we are jerks.
No, you're totally fine. I was just I was seeing what you were doing on your Instagram, grooving with the post, and I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. And I was like, I messed up their groove.
Oh no, you did not throw off the Emperor's Groove. You were fine.
I literally think it was the Emperor's New Groove one, wasn't it?
I think it was actually. But
well, Vashaun, we need one for this film. You can write whatever you. It's a 1, and you can write whatever you want in the text field.
Oh, it makes you wonder.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't go with just it's 1 out of 1. Vashaun thinks it's Fortnite. Rad.
But if you do, I won't be mad.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so that's everything. Let me go ahead and list my random number of social media handles. First of all, this episode was sponsored, as always, by Carlin Brothers Coffee. You can go to carlinbrotherscoffee.com/discounts/bacon and then enter promo code BACON at checkout. Bacon and Eggs is filmed in front of a very, very, very quiet but live studio audience that says absolutely nothing during the recording process. Just everybody remember that. There's thousands of people sitting here watching us record right now. You can't prove otherwise, listener.
You cannot.
They are incredibly cooperative, incredibly quiet. They're not even cheering right now. This is awesome. Anyway, you can find me on Instagram at Bacon and Ethan. You can find Tyler on Instagram at AmeriCarlin. You can find the podcast on Instagram at Bacon and Eggs Pod, and there will be a giveaway starting today. It's live right now as you're listening to this. Person who's listening to it today. If you're listening to this episode in 12 months, you missed it. Sorry.
missed it.
Shame.
But shoot us a DM and be like, hey, you should do another one of those cool giveaways with the hand decorated microphone.
And we're gonna be like, what? And then
We'll be
it'll
like,
take.
oh, I'm
then
sure
we
will
then we'll
remember it.
remember that we did it, and then we'll do another one. It'll be rad. Anyway, thank you for listening. 12 months down the line. Thank you for listening today, March 21st, when this episode comes out. I just did math in my head. I added 19 plus 2. I'm proud of myself. Anyway, you can get in touch with us at baconandeggsmedia@gmail.com if you need to get in touch with us for whatever reason. If you just want to talk about the episode, you just want to say hi, you want to tell us how much you like the show, or how much you dislike the show, or how much you like Vashaun, go for it. Baconandeggsmedia@gmail.com. Anyway, I think that's everything. Nope, it's not everything. Our graphics are by Vashaun at Graphite, graphite.vmb on Instagram, and our music is by the lovely Andrew Scott Bell, who we need to get on an episode here shortly because now we've had the graphic designer and we need to get the composer, and he's rad. That's Andrew Scott Bell. You can find him at andrewscottbell.com. I think that's everything, so I'm going to go ahead and say bye. I've been Ethan Edgehill.
Well, before you say bye, Ethan, if you love this show and you love coffee, why don't you go over, use your 10% off, save you some money on Carlin Brothers Coffee, and then for less than the price of a Lego Movie coffee, you could support Bacon and Eggs on Patreon for an entire year as a member of our Discord server where you can hang out with me, Ethan, our beautiful, wonderful moderators, RIP. You can hang out with us all the time, and it's a wonderful community. You should definitely be a part of it. Thank you so much for listening to us, and we're trying to hit that 100 patron mark. We're at like
I'm checking right now. Checking right now. We are at 87.
87. So we just need 13 more. I know there's more than 13 of you that listen to this show that are not current patrons. It would mean a lot to us if you could help us out. If you find value in this show, we put a lot of heart and soul into this. And to me, I think it's worth more than a cup of coffee for the podcast that I listen to in the car on the way to work. And it would just mean the world to us if you could help us out.
I made the pledge today to support some of my favorite podcasts.
Did you?
I
indeed? Did. Who you pledged to?
My brother and me, and the Adventure Zone. They're doing the Max Fun Drive right now. So it all goes through MaximumFun.org. They use their own proprietary NPR-style pledging service.
Nice.
But anyway, so I supported that, and you can go support the podcast that you love. And if that's not us, then tell us how we can become the podcast that you love. And if it is us, please do that. Anyway, I think that's it. I've been Ethan Edgehill. He's been Tyler Carlin. Him over there has been Vashaun Brandon. And until next week, arrivederci. You have one job.
I know. Hold on, I think I had one. Allison Williams.